Hannibal. It has been so long since I've recorded a Hannibal video. I am sorry. Life happened. Anyway, this next one, it is Season 3, Episode 8. It's titled The Great Red Dragon. Let's do it. Oh, he is fit. Sir, I'd let you kill me. He's got those back dimples right above his butt, and I'm like, dang. Dude, he's like every 20-year-old in America. He's like, I saw this picture in a magazine, and I want a tattoo of it. I love how when they film, they just have to, like, slightly darken out his butt. It's like, I could see his butt. He's a dragon! For, like, a first tattoo, that is a huge back piece to get done. 3 years later, I heard they were gonna do a time jump, and that's upsetting. If only for the fact that I wanted to watch him play with his dogs.
There's cause to celebrate.
She's like, 3 years have gone by, and I got myself a new hairstyle, so I've evolved as a character.
I stopped drinking beer when I found out what you were putting in mine.
Oh, that's gross. He's a good artist. Let him go. He broke his mirror, so I'm gonna think of him as like the Beast on Beauty and the Beast. What's going on, bro? Put some clothes on. You're gonna catch a cold.
The blood was from a cow, only in the derogatory sense. What do you think about the tooth fairy?
I don't believe in her. Dude, quit watching a projector if it's gonna freak you out that much. Get a laptop. He has many leather-bound books. Smells of rich mahogany. Who just has a scrapbook that is that cool, old, and huge? Ah! Will and his doggies! I'm so happy right now. See, this is why I watch the show, because he's cute with his dogs. That's it. There's so much killing for a show about a cute guy and his dogs.
I've come too far to let the cold stop me.
Why should the cold stop what common sense couldn't?
Burn. Jack is like just abusive to Will as Hannibal was. Oh, Will's got a family.
And Molly's a sucker for strays.
That's why she loves you. You know, their house is very cool and rustic looking, but it must smell horrible. There's like 12 dogs in there.
I'd have the satisfaction that you did the right thing.
If you don't go, you're gonna be a sissy.
I'll be different when I get back.
How different can you be? She met you after all that crap happened already.
It's dark on the other side, and madness is waiting.
Dude, Hannibal tried to be a bro and tell you not to come back. You're gonna go back anyway, aren't you? Well, I mean, I know you are, because of the books and the movies. Why do people always throw things on gas fires? You're not supposed to burn stuff on a gas fireplace. Okay, if he doesn't go to this crime scene, and then stop, and then the pendulum goes, and then he plays it backwards in his head, you're wasting an opportunity. That was a cool shot with the flashlight and the kids showing up. Why is Will not wearing gloves but like touching bloody things like the light switch? That's how people get AIDS. Wait, so he's wearing gloves but he's wearing the tiny thin ones that like lunch ladies use? Pendulum, are you gonna do it? There it is! What happened the night of, Will? What, did you search the whole house and know there's not talcum powder?
This is my design.
Yay, he did the thing! It's that forensic dude! I've missed you.
Get the police to remove an obnoxious, flame-haired woman who's trying to take pictures of me.
Ah!
I'm sure you understand.
Where's she? Hey, the other forensic dude! Oh, taking prints off an eyeball.
Forefinger on the back of the piece wedged in her labia.
Ooh.
Thumb in the front.
Ooh. Will's drunk dialing.
I have to see Hannibal.
Yeah, your boo. Go see your boo thing.
Hello, Dr. Lecter.
Hello, Will.
Yeah! So this episode opens and it's got that, what's his name, Dollarhide dude? The red dragon dude. He's just staring at his hand and then he sees a magazine with the red dragon in it and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna change my life and kill some people because this picture moved me. And then there's this cool montage of him working out and getting tattoos and going to buy these like prosthetic teeth. And then he's like standing there naked, staring at the picture of the devil, and he's got like a full tattoo back piece, which is kind of cool, kind of creepy. And then it shows this little boy singing in like a cathedral and Hannibal's listening, and it's a montage of like them arresting him and him getting processed, and then finally him standing in his already freaking awesome cell, but then he still pictures it being like even cooler in like his office. And then it says 3 years later, and then it looks like Hannibal is sitting like in his office with Alana, but I'm like, no, he's not. He's just picturing a cooler place. Then Alana's like, oh, by the way, you're not going to be killed because you're criminally insane. You killed a lot of people. I know you're not crazy. You know you're not crazy. And then he's like, well, you're alive. And she's like, how long? You already promised you're going to kill me. And he's like, well, I do always keep my promises. Then she sits back down and he's like continuing to sketch a picture of her. Then the red dragon dude's in his weird, like, attic-y looking place staring into a broken mirror. I think he's practicing talking and moving his mouth and stuff. And then he's like, I hear noises. He's like, where's it coming from? Then he leans into the mirror. And then it cuts to the full moon and him standing outside, like, naked, covered in blood or something, just freaking out. Then there's this cool shot of, like, food porn, and they're making some dessert. Him and Chilton are sitting down and, like, talking. Chilton's, like, talking about how kind of Hannibal's old news, but there's this new guy, the Tooth Fairy. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna write my new book about him. He kills whole families. He's way cooler than you, Hannibal. Then Chilton's in Alana's office, and she comes in. She's like, what do you want? He starts talking about how Hannibal's gonna be institutionalized, and she's like, by the way, he's writing this new, like, essay-type thing for doctors. Chilton's like, no one's gonna listen to him, and he's like, well, it's kind of a rebuttal on your stuff. Not to mention, we lied. He's not insane. She's like, what do you want anyway? Why are you here? He's like, well, me and Hannibal talked about the Tooth Fairy, and I'm concerned that the new young gun in town might want to make Hannibal come out of retirement. Then the red dragon dude is, like, watching movies through a projector, and then he starts, like, freaking out and picturing, like, the film is wrapping around him, and he gets in front of the projected light, and it, like, projects through his face. Then it shows Hannibal writing a letter and, like, cutting out headlines. Red Dragon Dude's doing the same thing, and he's, like, pasting them into this big, giant, cool-looking scrapbook. But then when he pastes it in, it says, like, Tooth Fairy massacred a family, and he gets, like, mad, gets a Sharpie, and marks out Tooth Fairy, because he don't like being called that. And then finally we see Will, and he's at this new kind of cool cabin with all of his dogs. Jack does the thing again where he shows up, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna take you out of retirement, let's go catch a killer. Will's like, I don't want to do that anymore, it was gross and creepy. Jack's like, look at the picture of this family, they died. Jack's like, I think the guy has something to do with, like, a full moon, so we have a short amount of time to catch him again before he kills, so you gotta come help us. Will's like, I'm not that guy anymore. And then Will's new wife and, like, stepson show up, and then apparently they just invited Jack in for dinner, even though Will didn't even want him there. They talk about having a lot of dogs, and then the boy and Will go outside to walk the dogs. So Jack starts playing on his wife at that point. He's like, look, here's a picture of a family who died. If your husband does nothing, he's basically a murderer. So that night, Will and his wife are, like, getting ready for bed, and she's like, hey, if this guy kills again and you hear about it and you didn't do anything, I mean, you might get sad. She's like, this life we have might not seem so cool if we have to have it at the expense of people dying. He's like, if I go, then I'm gonna be a different person when I come back. And she's like, well, I won't, so go do it. Then while she's asleep, Will goes into his dresser and pulls out a letter from Hannibal, and it has the newspaper clipping about the Tooth Fairy, and it also says, basically, don't come back. Jack's gonna show up and try to get you back. It's really dark and creepy on this side, so just stay away. So, of course, after reading that letter, he's like, you know what, this made up my mind, I'm gonna go help. And then he burns the letter in a fireplace that is made for gas fires, and it's like, you're not supposed to do that. Then Will goes to the house of the most recently murdered family. He sees this tiny wheel of cheese in the fridge, it has a bite out of it, and he's like, a clue. And as he's walking through, he's kind of, like, reconstructing the crime, and then it does the awesome thing where he, like, stands there and, like, closes his eyes, and that pendulum goes, and he's like, this is my design. Basically, he worked out exactly how the dude killed the family and in what order he did stuff. So the guy killed the whole family, and then he had to take off his gloves and touch the woman, and he broke mirrors and then put the mirror shards on their eyes and mouth and places. The two forensic dudes we haven't seen in, like, forever go to examine the body. The one dude takes a cast from the bite marks that are on her. The other dude pulls a fingerprint off her eye. They're all back in the lab, and they tell Will and Jack that the guy has no fingerprints in the system and shows, like, what his teeth should look like, and they're all messed up. Will's, like, having a hard time dealing with all this, you can tell. Then the red dragon dude is, like, hearing sounds again, and he looks over and his little jar of teeth are, like, vibrating. Will is at a motel, and he's, like, pours himself a drink, and he picks up his phone, and he calls, and no one answers. So he lays on the bed, and then you get one of the cool shots of, like, Will on the bed and something weird happening. This time he's, like, kind of suspended, and there's crime scene photos floating all around him. And then one of those photos is, like, a family portrait of the family, and they have a dog. Then it gets to Jack's office, and Jack's like, well, you asked about the dog. Turns out they took the dog to the vet before it happened. Will's like, what's gonna happen to the puppy? I want another puppy. Jack's like, don't worry about the puppy. People are dead. But Will's still kind of just standing there, so Jack's like, look, what do you want? Will's like, okay, I could ask for this at the end of the 3 weeks when I get all desperate, but I'm gonna ask right now. I'm gonna need to get in the right headspace, so can I go see Hannibal? And then it cuts to Hannibal, like, standing in a cathedral, and Will's walking up, And then you see that he's, really in his cell and Will's standing there. Hannibal turns around, they look at each other. Will's like, hey, what's up? And Hannibal's like, sup. And then credits. So I remember hearing at a convention, Brian Fuller was mentioning that they were going to do the time jump, and Will's going to be married, Hannibal's still going to be locked up. I didn't know if I'd like it, I didn't know if the dynamic would change too much, but it's pretty cool. I like it. And also, it feels really good to be watching Hannibal again, because it's been, forever. So what do you guys think? Did I forget anything or leave anything out? If you want to leave a comment, drop it below. Don't forget to do the things. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. Until next time.